Hi, I'm Laura Kaminsky, Artistic Director of Symphony Space, and I'm sitting with four-time Grammy-nominated pianist in her lovely apartment on the Upper West Side, Ursula Oppens. Ursula, it's so great to be here.
Well, it's always wonderful when you're here, and Laura and I have been friends forever, it seems.
It certainly is a long, wonderful friendship.
You know, I'm just delighted that you're here.
We have shared a lot of music over the years,
Yes.
and what we're here to talk about is your long-term involvement at Symphony Space and your participation in our Composers Now Festival. You're going to be playing this year, as you have in all the years preceding. Tell us about what you're playing this year.
This year I'm playing a work by Bernard Rands that was written in 1975, or published in 1975.
The last century.
The last century, but Bernard is still very much with us.
Yes.
And the work is very, very exciting. It was probably in his most adventurous period, though it only uses the piano played on the keys, so in that sense. But how much you have to play it on the keys is not. But it's a wonderful piece.
You've made such a commitment of playing music by composers of our time. Talk about that.
Well, it's such fun, actually, to be able to work with a composer on the music that she or he has written. I grew up with the sense that all the great composers were dead. My parents were both musicians, but one could never ask Beethoven what he really meant when he wrote something. And so I was so excited quite early, not early on, but in college already, to find, well, people are writing terrific music today.
And you can
talk to them, and you can say, is this what you meant by a sforzando? And the person said, oh no, it's too loud or too soft or too weak or something. And then you, hey, what about this?
You've played Night Fantasy now for how many years?
Well, since it was written in 1980.
Can you talk a little bit about your journey with the piece?
Music of our time very often has to do with having a lot of variety, a lot of textural variety and emotional variety. And this piece has as much as you could possibly imagine. And for me, the experience of playing it is always different because I'm taking this emotional trip in real time. Has it changed? Of course it's changed, but it's very hard for me to put it into words.
Mm-hmm.
I've actually recorded it twice at an interval of about 25 years.
You've played Jevsky, you've played me, you've played Tanya Leon. You know, how do you find your way into all these different musics?
Well, that's the fun of it. That's the fun of being a performer, is actually the process of finding your way into it. And as a performer, it's I think like being an actor. You just try to be the character of the music. And one thing I love about notation is that in a certain way it tells you a great deal, and in another way it leaves things somewhat open for the performer, just as with older music.
I mean, it's funny that you use that metaphor of the actor, because I always think that all music, however abstract it may be, is telling a narrative.
Oh yes,
and
absolutely.
So your fun is in finding those stories.
Right, and the stories are not necessarily like the ballad Edward or something, but there are stories of, well, in tonal music, of course, the major-minor story. In atonal music, we're listening more to timbres and character and other qualities, but still the sense of contrast and going from one thing to another and change. They're all very exciting.